Look at this, folks. We are back again with Erika from the cricket, talking all things Manchester by the Sea and Essex. How are you, Erika?
I'm great. Heather, you're back.
I know I was missing last week, but I'm back.
I
And
missed
after a little adventure to the crow's nest with Corey.
I heard all about it.
It takes 2 days. It takes a couple days to bounce back from
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
All right, Erika.
Anytime I'm going to be there, please.
Next time. Yeah.
Got a great edition this week and a really cool story regarding Frank Mcclellan.
I feel like we've been really kind of like heavy and hard on town business. And then this edition is a little lighter, which is great. I love these kinds of things. All right, well, Chris McGinn, who is our, she just does the most amazing writing for us. She's been a little quiet lately because she's been doing other stuff for the cricket, but she's back and she did a great piece on Frank Mcclellan, who is, for people who don't know him, he's the very, very well-known chef. He's known nationally from L'Espalier, and before that, Harvest in Cambridge. So he has operated at the highest levels, and we're lucky because he happens to live in Essex, and he happens to have a restaurant. His new place for the next segment of his life is to have Frank, the restaurant on Rantoul Street in Beverly. Who remembers Rantoul Street on Beverly?
I do, but it's had a few chapters, shall we say, and this is a good one. This chapter right now with featuring Frank is a good one.
I have to say, one of it's like lowercase claims to fame, is that I was working for the Salem Evening News and I had to cover the closing of Grover's. Remember Grover's?
I don't even remember Grover's.
Grover's was, oh my God, Grover's was like a legacy. Like it was a legacy of local rock and roll. It was a local rock and roll club. It was a local club, a bar on Rantoul Street. Oh my God.
I'm sad already.
It got closed down for overcrowding. So
hey, I just went to the crow's nest. I would have gone to Grover's next.
She's ready to bar hop.
Think the channel down in Providence without the fire. Like honestly, it was like always overcrowded. The police were always coming, and then finally it didn't close as much as just not open. The police,
what I remember,
the police closed it down and then it stopped. But anyway, I digress. So, I mean, to think about that and now to look at Rantoul Street, which is it's essentially, arguably, Beverly's main street again. It's the main street of Beverly.
Do you remember, Erika, for 1 week, we had Paolo Laboa and his Northern Italian cuisine on Rantoul Street?
Yes, he was connected to the guy who owns Pride's Pizza in Beverly Farms.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. They were partners and weirdly partners, but he made his pesto had won best in the world.
Yeah.
So, that he was planting the seeds for Frank to come along, right?
Exactly. Now that's an issue of timing. That's an issue of timing, isn't it? But in any case, so they've gotten through the pandemic. It's just this thing where it's just come and surged. It's now this incredible place. And to listen to his story about how inspired he is by farms. I mean, he's always been really close to farms. I mean, he actually had a farm on Apple Street in Essex for a while. And so and as a matter of fact, I used to go to lunch at a place in Boston and they had, a lettuce from Apple Street Farm, which was him. So he's really amazing. It's a great story. He and his wife, and what they're doing there is amazing. It's a market now. It's 3 meals. It's like really amazing. And it's down by the train station. And it shows that we're lucky when somebody chooses to settle down in Essex.
Aren't we? It's so true. It's so true. It's really great to have, and as you mentioned his wife, she's just as dedicated to this community as he is. And they're a great pair.
Yeah. And Chris did a great job with the article, and then she also did a great job with shooting it. There's some great photography there too. Nice. There you go. Read it.
Erika, what is going on at Gosbee Field?
Oh my God, I was there last week. Gosbee Field was dedicated. They had their dedication. We talked about this a while before. Annie Gosbee, native of Essex, grew up in the 30s and 40s, actually really the 30s. And she grew up at a time actually before women weren't allowed in sports, but they also weren't banned from sports. It was like kind of a weird time in sports. And so she was the only girl on the Rufus Elementary baseball team. And then she went to Gloucester High School. Her best friend was Avis Murray. Do you know Avis?
Oh, yeah.
I know Avis from back in the day when she and I would sit and talk for hours at the Manchester Athletic Club. She is the best.
Really?
Bass rocks. She's been there for 50 years at tennis. Anyway, they were both athletic phenoms in high school, and really, from what I can tell from last week, kind of best friends because she spoke. Bruce Tarr was there. It was a huge showing in Essex because it was a stellar day. Tons of people, kids running around. They had an exposition game with young girls that was just so sweet to watch. They had Burnham's Catering was out there with, flipping burgers and doing barbecue. And the only reason I mention that is because she was related to a Burnham. And then, of course, Bruce Tarr, he was like in his da-da-da mood. You know what I mean? He was like a comedian. And he said, hey, I think if you can't live in Essex unless you're related to the Burnhams. And then he said, raise your hand if you're not related to the Burnhams. So anyway, it was really amazing. Larry Woodman spoke. Do you know Larry Woodman?
I don't know him well.
Of the Woodman family. Mm-hmm. He grew up, and he was probably my favorite speaker because he was 4 years younger than Annie Gosbee. And so he looked up to her as an athlete. And he talks about his lifelong love of baseball and about how she was, when he was a little boy, his hero. And it was wonderful. So there you go. Annie Gosbee Field, good on Essex for making it happen. It's an amazing field, and now it has an amazing person that it's named after.
Very cool story.
No, that's a great story. One of my favorite stories, actually, of yours, Erika. It's really great.
Yeah, she was a really good story. I just loved it. And by the way, League of Their Own was inspired by, she was on the Rockford Peaches, which is what that movie was about.
Yeah, that was what you told us before. Right, right.
Key point. Okay, and lastly, Erika, Ginny Intel.
Ginny Intel's lovely. This is a great story too. I think this is an all Essex edition.
That's all right.
So Ginny Intel she just retired as the town accountant in Essex, and it was really great. I love this because I've got to read it so I make sure it's right. Jeff Soulard has always been the town treasurer, and she was the town accountant. She just retired, and now Jeff Soulard is going to be the new town accountant, and then Brooke Friedrich is actually going to be the Essex treasurer. So it's like this roll over, one fell out, So Bruce Tarr came and gave her a really nice plaque. She'd, I think, 25 years at Town Hall, 25 years. Nice. Give that lady a prize.
Yeah, cheers to Ginny for that. Great stuff. Erika, what do you have to look forward to as summer comes to a close?
It's going to be all 375th all the time. We're going to have our big parade. And it went from thinking, oh my God, who would come to a parade? Would we have any floats for a late September parade? And now it's going to be a lot. So I think it's going to be fantastic. And then a cookout afterwards at the VFW, at the American Legion.
Very
nice. And when is this? This
is next Saturday, the 25th at 2 p.m.
That's exactly right. And it's going to have the feed afterwards, and it all benefits the Mason's Angel Fund, which benefits local kids. And it's lobster or steak for $30.
Oh,
that's a good.
All kinds of deals in there in Manchester.
Yeah. Cool stuff. All right, great work all around, Erika. Well, we look forward to this week's edition of The Cricket. You can get your subscription, folks, at thecricket.com. And we'll see you in 1 week's time. Bye for now. This episode of Cape Ann Today is brought to you by Bank Gloucester. Start here, get there.